So welcome
Yes.
everybody, and thank you for attending today's webinar with Continia on how to automate your daily invoice processing with Continia Document Capture. My name is Danusha Jolliffe and I'll be facilitating the session today alongside Martin Hodgman from Continia. A few housekeeping items before we get started. So do use the question box to ask any questions as you go along, and I'll interrupt you, Martin, if that's okay, if anything comes up. If we do run out of time or if the question requires a bit more detail, then we can arrange to answer it offline afterwards. A link to watch the webinar on demand will be sent out afterwards. I saw there was a question about recording it. So yes, we are recording the session, so that will be available to you. So as I said, my name is Danusha Jolliffe and I'm the Marketing Director here at T-Vision. And I've been with the business for 5 years and have approximately 20 years experience in the marketing sector. Martin will be delivering the demo to us, and he's been with Continia for about 3 years now, I think, and he has a really detailed and specific knowledge of the system, and he helps us to look after our clients when they choose the Continia solution to be used within their organization. So, Martin, over to you.
Thank you. And you had everything right, except it's already 8 years I'm working with Continia. So it's a long time now, but no, very good. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for joining our webinar today on document capture. Like Danusha said, if you got any questions, type them in the chat box, and then at the end, Danusha will read them to me, and I will answer them to my best knowledge. And if there's anything more in depth, we can also take it offline. I do not like PowerPoint, so I'm going to show it to you in real life in Business Central. How do the invoices come in? How do we process them, approve them, and post them and find them back? So everything from beginning to end. And also please note that our software works from NAV 3.7, which is a very old version, to the latest version of Business Central. So if you are still on NAV or Business Central on premise, don't worry, the software will also work and it has all the functionalities that it would have in Business Central. One little fun fact, I have COVID as of 2 days, but I'm feeling very well, but sometimes I sneeze. So if I sneeze, I'll mute the microphone for a second, because otherwise you'll be deaf, I think, but that should be the only interruption from my side. A final question before I can start. Danusha, can you let me know if you can see my Business Central screen?
Yeah, I can see it, yeah.
All right. Then I will start. For now, I wish everybody enjoy the demo, sit back, relax, and yeah, I'm gonna start. So document capture is our solution for scanning, registering, and archiving of your invoices and credit notes, and it will be fully integrated into your Dynamics NAV or Business Central, as you will see now on the screen. As the finance team, you'll be able to select a role center, and there you'll be able to see a couple of things. On the left-hand side, you'll be able to see how many documents came in, and they can come in 3 different ways. One, you receive invoices via the post. You put them on the scanner, you press the button, and they'll be sent to your Business Central. The second method is via email. You can create an email address like invoices@yourcompanyname.co.uk. You ask your vendors to send invoices to that email address. Document Capture will monitor it and download them straight into Business Central for you. We also have a third method. We have the possibility to receive XML invoices, and those XML invoices can be sent to you via email. But we're also what is called a PEPL vendor. PEPL is one of the bigger XML formats that's out there. So if your vendors are on the PEPL network as well, they'll be able to send an invoice or a credit memo directly into your Business Central via that network. Document Capture will be able to work within multiple companies within your database, and it can also automatically distribute the invoices for you there. So if it sees your company name, and I make an example here, Office London, it will go to company number 1. If it sees your company name and Office Birmingham, it will move to company number 2. So that will really save the accounts payable team some time getting the invoices into the correct place. You can, of course, also set up an email address per tenant that you have within your Business Central. No handwritten text, but none of the OCR engines can actually handle that well. And we process PDF files and XML files. Should you receive Word or Excel, then you manually need to convert it to PDF before it gets picked up. This information can be found here on the first 4 tabs on the left-hand side. Next to that, we'll see the purchase approval. With Document Capture, we can, of course, approve invoices, And in the role center, an approver can see how many documents he or she has to approve. And the same goes for credit notes here on the right-hand side. I'll come back to this approval process later on in my demo. So if you got questions about that, please hold them for now. I first want to show you how do we actually process them. So over here, you can see some documents are ready to be imported. I emailed them just before this demo. And the nice thing is you can add multiple in PDF files, for example, to one email and then send it. That's not a problem for our software. I'm going to press import files now. When I press the button import files, the OCR scanner goes over the PDF files, and that OCR scanner allows us to do something with the text that is on the PDF files. And the nice thing is that we can automate this button for you, so you do not have to press this every time. So your invoices will come in all throughout the day. In my demo, I do it manually because I want to explain to you what the system is doing. Now that they've been imported, they go into the document journal, and the document journal is the place where the accounts payable team will process the invoices from now on. On the right-hand side, they'll be able to see the original document. They can scroll through it, zoom in and zoom out, and if it contains multiple pages, they can scroll through multiple pages. On the top left, we got your to-do list over here. In the middle, there will be a template, and down below, there will be comments. So how does our software work? We're going to create a template per vendor, and on that template, you're going to tell the system, how do you want this invoice to be processed? We can basically process any type of invoice that you as a company might receive. And I mean with that we can process cost invoices. We can process invoices with multiple lines that maybe need to be coded to different GL accounts. We can match against your purchase orders within your system, freight charges, discounts, dimensions, cost centers, whatever they throw at you. We can process it. You will set it up once. Next time it will go in automatically, and therefore it will reduce the workload of the accounts payable team. Today I'm going to show you a couple of examples. I want to start off very simple with cost invoice, and then I'll move on to some more difficult ones. For me, I sometimes hear that this now looks quite small. That's because of the, how do you say, the resolution in my demo machine. But in your real life, it should look very normal and clear. Before I'm going to create a template, on the top left, we can see that Document Capture recognizes your vendors. How did it do that? When I pressed the button import files in the previous screen, the system started scanning the document on the right-hand side. It found the VAT number, and then it found a match on the vendor card of Lewis Home Furniture, and that's why it put it up here. If there's no VAT number, the system will look for company name, address, postal code, contact person, bank account number, all to identify the correct vendor for you. And the nice thing is that if Document Capture could not find it the first time, that we're fully integrated into your system, you'll be able to open up your vendor list like you're used to and select the correct one. Or if you have the permissions to do so, you can create a new one straight from here. To create a template, I'm going to press recognize fields, and then the system will think for a bit and try to fill in as much as it can for us. Some companies call it machine learning, artificial intelligence. We do that as well. We fill in as much as we can. However, the first time you check the system, because sometimes it makes a mistake, and you will correct that so it will not make that mistake again the next time. So what do we see on the screen? We see orange and blue bars appearing on the PDF file, data here in the middle with the template, and down below comments. If I look over here in the middle, in the left column field, this is where the master template lies that you get with Document Capture. And this master template contains the most common fields that can be found on an invoice, like invoice number, invoice date, order number, amounts. But the nice thing is you can fully adjust this to your liking, and you can add almost any field from within your Business Central or NAV, whether it's bespoke or not, to here. And of course, T-Vision will show you that in the beginning, but after you will do it yourself, which is nice.
Martin?
Yes?
Someone's just asked a question saying, can you have multiple templates for an organization if they have different, or if they suddenly change their format?
Absolutely. So what I recommend, if the customer maybe has like a vendor that sends them purchase orders that need to be matched, and they will send them cost invoices that need to be processed, then you can create multiple templates, and then you can trigger the system by saying, well, if you see this vendor name plus the word goods, as a very easy example, take template 1A and start matching. if you see this company name and the word services, then treat it as a cost invoice and use general ledger account A, for example. If the vendor changes a layout like one time or once in a while, I would not recommend creating multiple templates. What Document Capture will do, it will try to find everything. And let's say something disappeared or moved and it really cannot find it anymore. It will just say, for example, the invoice number is not correct. Then you'll select the invoice number again, and then the template is updated. So you got multiple ways of doing this. Yes. So in this column value, you'll see that it tries to fill in as much as it can for us. And if you select the value, you will see it highlights it on the invoice. And it will do that whether it's on page number 1, 2, or 3. So you always know where to find it. You see an orange bar and a blue bar. The orange bar is like a header the system is looking for, and the blue bar is the value that the system found, and that's how to try to find everything for you. That's also coming back to the question. Let's say they move invoice number from here to the left to the right, it should be okay, but maybe they change the whole name of it and use other formats. Then Document Capture might say, hey, I cannot find it. Then you'll select the new one once more, and then the template is updated and it will continue. We got your invoice date. We got your due date, and it validates your due date with your payment terms. If they do not match, it will give you a warning message like the one here on the bottom left. You can also choose for Document Capture to always honor your payment terms because your Business Central is leading. We got a contact person, no order number in my first example. The currency code is left blank because it's a local currency within Business Central. Should you receive an invoice in dollars, euros, or whatever currency, that will be shown over here. It found all the amounts and it validates all the amounts. And we can also do like an invoice with multiple VAT amounts on one invoice. So you get an invoice with low and high VAT, no problem. With reversed VAT or no VAT, we can all process that. Because this is a cost invoice, the system asks for a general ledger account. That's this comment also here at the bottom. Again, I can just open up your general ledger account list like you used to. I can scroll through it, or I can type one in that I want, and I press OK. The system will then ask me, do you want to set it up as default for this vendor? If I press yes, it will not ask about it again. If I press no, I will fill it in again the next time. For now, I'll press yes, and then also that message disappeared at the bottom. The post and description, you as a company can type here whatever you like, combine fields from the template, the PDF file. You are in full control. In my demo, I want to show you how we can capture something of the invoice. Very simple. With my left-hand mouse button, I'll drag an orange box around the word project as a header this time. And with my right-hand mouse button, I'll select the value. And now Document Capture knows how to capture the post and description. It's that simple, left and right, and then the system will remember it. The last field, invoice/credit memo. Document Capture automatically recognizes if this document is an invoice or a credit memo. Double invoices will be blocked here. It's very important. They will not go into your system. Also, we have some fraud protection fields built in where we can, for example, match the bank account on the invoice to the bank account set up on the vendor card to make sure that you do not pay to how do you say this, like to a phony vendor or phony bank account, something like this.
Dodgy bank account.
Dodgy bank account, yes. So yeah, that's included. We've now finished setting up the first template. I can do this within 30 seconds. After a couple of training from Danusha and her team, you will also be able to do this. It is very simple. I will now register this document, and then it becomes a registered invoice within your Business Central. This screen might look a bit more familiar to you. However, we modified it a bit. On the left-hand side, you basically see the purchase invoices screen. And what we've done on the right-hand side, we've added a copy of the PDF file so that you can always see the invoice next to the invoice in your system. You'll see all the lines have been filled in. All of this done automatically. And now I can send it for approval. I will later explain to you the different approval flows, but yeah, we'll come to that in a couple of minutes. If we go back to our document journal, apologies, you can see that I got another from Lewis Home Furniture. If I press recognize fields now it remembered everything that we just done. So it found the invoice number, the dates, it got all the amounts. it remembered A330, and it got the post and description. So now you can see your workload got a little bit less. I can then register this one and send it for approval. The registering and sending for approval can be automated, but I've switched it off in my presentation. So very simple cost invoice. Every company has them, but we can do a lot more. And one of our, I would say, unique selling points is that we can do matching. We can match the purchase invoices that you receive to the purchase orders within your system. And we can do that in 3 different ways. One, we can match the invoice on a header level. So the system will check, okay, the purchase order is £1,000, the invoice is £1,000, it will match and then it will go through. The only downside of this is that you do not know if you ordered a Lenovo laptop or a Dell laptop. It will just purely look at the amounts. That's why we've often invented method number 2. With method number 2, we can match on a line level. If we check the example on the screen, the system can now check, did you receive 250 mountings for £12.50, 15 panels for £70, and 50 doors for £53.5. And this will make your match very accurate, but it will also allow you to do a couple of other things. For example, now you can do partial matching. So you ordered 200 pieces, but they only delivered 100 in the first batch. We can match multiple orders on the invoice to multiple orders in the system. So the invoice an invoice for order 1001, 2, and 3, then you can match those 3 into your system all at once. We can set up tolerances per supplier. We can skip the approval if you got a 100% match. So there's a lot of functionality being added because of the line level matching. The third way of matching is manual. Why do you want to do that? I think it will happen in real life cases if something is wrong with the invoice. For example, the vendor forgets to put up an order number, then Document Capture is not going to guess for you. You will select the correct order number, and then it will start taking over the matching again. Let me show you. I'm going to press Recognize Fields. Because of time, I know all these fields are okay, so I'm not going to click on all of them, just on the order number. You can see it captured that one as well. So normally this would have matched automatically, but I switched it off. If I now go to match lines, this is a screen that we created. You'll be able to see the original invoice on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, we'll see 2 things. One, we'll see the purchase receipt lines for vendor Coolwood Technologies. These are basically the goods that the warehouse has received. And on the bottom, we'll see the order lines of Coolwood Technologies. These are basically the orders that are in the system, but have not been received yet by the warehouse. You can tell Document Capture per vendor where it needs to match it to, either the received goods or the order lines. And sometimes we see with companies that have like services, they do not really receive those services in Business Central, then it says just match against the order lines. So you can choose. To make it a bit more easy, you can press Filter on Order Number, then it will only show you the orders that it found on the invoice. And now if I press Perform Automatic Match, it matches the whole order. My demo needs to look good for you, that's why it matches it 100%. There's 0 difference, but I can imagine that not always happens in real life. So then the difference will be shown over here in this column, and the line will not be made bold so that the accounts payable team immediately sees where that difference is. Like I said before, we can do partial matching, multiple orders on one invoice. We can set up tolerances per supplier, and we can also set those tolerances on a line level if you want. We can skip the approval if there's a 100% match, because then you basically have your 3-way match. So there's a lot of functionality built in here. If I go one step back, the system will tell the accounts payable team what it did. In this case, it's fully matched, which is perfect. But it will also tell you it's not matched because our tolerance was exceeded, not matched because the goods are not there yet. We matched multiple orders, we matched partially. So to really tell you what it did. This matching part, it does a lot more. I can also show you this in a separate demo to you and your colleagues if you want to, but this should give you an overview. I would say this is one of our, like I said before, unique selling points. It will really save the accounts payable team a lot of time matching these invoices, and yeah, that is nice. I will now register it. And then it becomes a registered invoice again within Business Central with the receipt number now. And in my demo, I will send it for approval. Okay. The last invoice that I want to show you is an invoice with multiple lines. Document Capture is very good at capturing lines, and it doesn't matter if there are 3, like in this example, 50 or 100 or more. We do this a lot in the retail business where they sometimes have invoices with 600-700 lines. Doesn't really matter for the software. Let me show you how. Yes.
That literally was another question that came up saying, is there a maximum number of lines that can get recognized per invoice?
The biggest one that I have seen is 2,000 lines on one invoice with like 40 pages, and it took that. But no, there shouldn't be a limit.
Okay, thank you.
My example is a little bit less, but it will show you the point. I press recognize fields, and for example, I know it made a mistake here. If you see invoice number, you'll see it captured the invoice date by mistake. So you need to correct that, which is not hard. Just do left-hand mouse button and right-hand mouse button on the field that you want to capture, and now the template is updated. So really, when setting up these templates or your vendor changed the layout, fixing it, I'll take you a couple of seconds. It's not difficult. The rest of the header information is okay. So let me show you how to capture these lines. I go into the document card. It's pretty cool. We got a tab called lines here with columns like number, description, quantity, unit cost. And then I'm going to stand in here and then I'll say on the PDF, here you'll find the item number. The description can be found over here. The quantity over here. We got unit cost, no discount percentage, no discount amount, but we do have a line amount, which can be found over here. And even though it only has 3 lines, if I press recognize fields now, it will capture every line that it can find. And if you got this over 500 lines with 20 pages, it will capture that for you, which is really, really nice. And what we can do now, assuming that there's no purchase order for this invoice, you can also code it the way you want it to be. So then you can say the iPad, I want that to general ledger account A330. And the mouse, I want that to general ledger account A310. I know these by memory, but you can also open up the list, of course. Besides translating it to general ledger accounts, you can also translate it to item numbers, resources, fixed assets, charge items, whatever you want. So if I select a fixed asset and I'll click on it, it will open up my fixed asset list within Business Central.
Martin, just had another question saying, if the bank details on the invoice do not match those on NAV or Business Central, where is that indicated and alerted to the user?
Yes, so Document Capture will block the invoice immediately. And it will say over here under comments, warning means that it will allow it through. But if you got like an error, then it will say bank account details are not correct, and then the invoice will be stopped over here. And it will not go into your system. It will not become a registered purchase invoice. And you can maybe delete it, or maybe, So it will be flagged over here in the beginning stage in the document journal.
Okay. And also, will it pick up codes if you have them on an invoice?
Yes. What do you mean with codes? Like the vendor item numbers, for example?
I'm assuming that was one of the. I'm assuming that's what the question is. If the person asking can just clarify, but I'm assuming that's what they meant. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we have, and now we basically translated it ourselves. So we told the system now, if you see iPad, translate it to general ledger account A330. But if you use a cross-reference table, then this will be filled in automatically. If you use a vendor item number table, I think it's called, then it will also fill this in. And Document Capture can also add these to, for example, your cross-reference table.
Oh, sorry, you just clarified that it was the translate to number and the GL code. So can it pick it up automatically?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Exactly. If it's on the invoice, then yes, absolutely, okay. No problem at all. Because then we will cap, answer is yes, 100%. We have this in the Netherlands. We have one of the bigger, how do you say this, like food distribution, where restaurants buy their food and wine. I do not know how it's called in English, like a wholesaler, I think.
Yep.
And you can make like agreements with them. If you order an iPad, then it needs to go to cost center A. They'll put that on the invoice and this general ledger account for you. So if you have that, then we can fill that in automatically. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool beans. I will now register it.
Oh, sorry. Just one.
No, it's no problem.
So to clarify, once you've told the system that iPads, for example, go to 8330, will that automate it for future invoices from the same supplier?
Yes. I'm going to show it to you right now.
Oh,
so Document Capture will remember that for you, if you want to, of course. You can set this up per vendor. So I got another one from electronics, which is a bit smaller. But if I now press recognize fields, first of all, on a header level, it remembered the correct invoice number right now, so that's a good thing. And if you go to document card, it will say, hey, you bought another iPad, so that is 8330. And let's say you bought something new here, a MacBook Pro, then it will say in the previous screen, it will say, please translate MacBook Pro because we do not know what it is. And that's basically a stopper. I can actually show it to you over here. Here are some new ones. If I press recognize fields, it will say, please translate the Surface Pro 2 on line number 4. Please translate the Apple DVD. So then this is like a showstopper or a blocker.
okay.
Same goes for the bank account. Yeah, because if I now want to register this one, it will say the document is not ready to be registered. Please check the comment section. And there. And if I check this one has the tick box OK and no comments. I can immediately register it.
Thanks.
Cool. This is what I wanted to show you today about template making. I can sit 2 hours more here and tell you more about it, but this should give you a quick sneak preview of what we can do. The template making is the most important part, especially in the beginning. And the nice thing is that you can do this in your test environment and then move everything from test to live. So you do not have to do it twice. Also, if you got multiple companies in your database, then Document Capture will be able to automatically copy it to your other companies. So if it sees British Gas in one company and you have the same vendor in company number 2, to say, do you want to copy the template? Moving on to the approvals process, we can approve in 2 different places, one within Business Central itself and 2 within our web approval portal. The web approval portal is an approval portal that you can open up on your mobile phone or on your iPad, and you can access it with the team member license from Microsoft, which is like a light variant of the full user. So your approval becomes even more mobile. The functionality for the rest is the same. It uses the same approval flows. Our approval is pretty flexible. We can basically set up approval based on an approver and a limit. Let's say I can approve up to £1,000 within your organizations. If it's below that amount, I'm the only approver. If it exceeds that amount, then it will first go to me and then to my supervisor, maybe Danusha in this case. Danusha can approve up to £5,000. If it exceeds her limit, then it will go to Pippa, for example, and she can approve up to 25,000. So you can build in these layers. We also have method number 2, which is approval based on vendor. Vendor number 1, Danusha and me will do it together. Vendor number 2 will be done by Danusha alone because it's only for her department. Method number 3 is approval based on dimensions. For example, your cost centers. If it sees cost center A, it will go to that person. If it sees cost center number B, it will go to another person. Approvers will get a notification in their role center and they will get an email. I'm already opening up the web approval portal now. If you get that email, you can schedule that maybe once a day, once every 2 days, once a week, how many times you want it to be. They will click on a link and it will open up the web approval portal, or it will open up Dynamics NAV or Business Central, depending on what type of approver you are. This is how the web approval portal looks like. The approver gets an overview of the invoices that he or she needs to approve. Before I'm going to do that, at the top in the archive, you can look up what did I approve last week. On the top right, if you got multiple companies in your database, you can switch between them over here. And on the very top right, you can set up your out of office. So if somebody is sick or on holiday, the invoices can be forwarded to somebody else within the organization. And the nice thing is that the finance team can also activate this for their colleagues. So if a user forgets to turn it on, you can still do it. The invoices, in a second, we'll see the original invoice on the right-hand side. And you can zoom in and zoom out on it. Next to it, we can add comments. And important to know, the comments and actually the whole approval flow will be logged from beginning to end, so that you, but also your accountants can have a look at it later on. We can see some details of the invoice over here on the left, some approvers over here, or the approval flow actually over here, and the lines at the bottom. With the lines, you can also give your colleagues permissions to make changes to the lines. So they can maybe change a general ledger account or a project or an item number. And there are a lot of rules here. You can say, no, you cannot change. Yes, you can change. Yes, you can change some. You can give them full permissions yourself.
Martin, I've had another question about the web approvals. Just to clarify, did you say that you don't have to have a NAV or BC license? Just
You
the
do,
standard
but
Microsoft license, or you do need to have the NAV and Business Central license to log into the Continia portal?
You do, but it can be a team member license, or in NAV it's called a limited user license.
Okay, right, thank you. Yeah.
No problem. On the top left, we can approve the invoice. We can reject the invoice, but then we need to fill in the comment why. Otherwise, the accounts payable team doesn't know why it gets rejected. We can forward it in multiple ways. And we can put it on hold if there's a query. Maybe you're waiting for a credit note. And the nice thing is that the accounts payable team has a list within Business Central of where all the invoices are. They can also see if something has been put on hold. And how do you say this? So if a vendor calls, then you can say it's been put on hold by Danusia. So yeah, because she's waiting for a credit note, and maybe that triggers the vendor to take action immediately. If I approve it, it automatically goes to the next one to speed things up. So we're in a good mood today, so we'll approve all of them. And then the approval on the web portal is done. Now I'm switching over to the approval within Business Central, and now I'm logged in as the manager. And basically it is the same, only it looks like Business Central. You get to see the original invoice on the right-hand side, your to-do list over here, the lines in the middle, the comments down below. At the top, approve, reject with a reason, forward in multiple ways, put on hold if there's a query. If you got the permissions to do so, you can make changes to the lines, add comments, set up your out of office. I'll approve it, and also here it goes to the next one automatically. Now that the invoice have been approved, they come to the final stage, the release bin, and released invoices can be posted. They can be posted one by one in a batch, or you can automate it. So maybe with automating, you can say every day at 6 o'clock, post everything with status released. Once the posting process is done, document capture stops. It will pick up the normal process that you have set up with T-Vision. I assume it will go to your banking module, and once the due date is there, you will probably pay it. Maybe you have an extra approval flow over there. I do not know, but yeah, let me show you. I'm going to press post batch, and now this will look familiar to all of you, and it will just post the invoices. And now we basically have done everything from beginning to end. So a quick recap. Let's say you're using our software. Document Capture will monitor an email box for you, download the invoices straight into your system. There they will be imported automatically if you want to, and the templates will be put on top of it automatically that you've created. It will treat it as a cost invoice, will start matching, capture multiple lines, doesn't matter. If everything is okay, you can automatically register it and send it for approval based on the flow that you have created. The approvers will get an email notification that they have something to approve. They will hopefully approve fast. Then it will come back here in the release bin, and there you can post it either manually or automatically. And yeah, this should save you a lot of time as a company. The final part of my presentation, but not unimportant, how do you find documents back? The documents are stored in an archive on a location of your choosing. With NAV, you can set them up in a file share of your choosing. Within Business Central, you can choose to use the Business Central database or an Azure Blob storage of your choosing. We're also looking at the possibilities to add SharePoint. But for now, that's not available yet. I think it will come, to be honest, but I cannot tell you when. Apologies. So how do we find documents back? You do that from within Business Central. One is called Document Search. Basically, every invoice that is scanned with Document Capture is fully text searchable. So you remembered you bought an iPad last year, but you do not know where. You type in iPad, then it will find every invoice with the word iPad on top of it, and you can press Show Document Card, which will show you the template that you originally took. Or if you want a PDF file, you just press Show File, and then it will open up the PDF file for you. And you can search for every word that's on this invoice. Doesn't have to be in one of those orange and blue boxes. So very convenient also if like an accountant sends you, can you send me these 4 invoices? Just copy and paste the numbers in here and you get the invoices. That's not the only way, of course. Because they're fully integrated into your system, you'll be able to find the invoice everywhere where it touches something within your system. So think of the vendor card, posted documents, general ledger accounts, VAT entries. If I quickly go to the chart of accounts, and I go to A230 and I select the balance, I'm working on a general ledger account and like, hey, what is this invoice? You press the button Navigate, which is a standard Business Central button, and then we've added a document capture file, and voila, you get to see the original document. And if you are on the posted invoices, for example, if I go posted documents, purchase invoices, and I go to this one, and I'll open it, I also get to see it immediately over here. So finding them back should become really, really easy. This is what I and Danusia wanted to show you today about document capture. It's our biggest solution and one of the, it is the biggest OCR solution within the Dynamics and Business Central community. We now have more than 7,000 customers using this software. And even though COVID is here, we're still growing a lot, which is nice. And that's mostly because it's fully integrated. If you are on NAV right now, you can install this software. And once you upgrade to Business Central, just continue or migrate with you. If you are on Business Central, then you get the updates twice a year automatically with the help of T-Vision, and yours on the latest version, which is nice. The learning curve is quite short because you know Business Central and you just have to learn to create those templates. We can do more than a competitor. We're cheaper than a competitor, but yeah, I'll leave it like that. I hope you liked it. If you want a one-on-one demo with your team, please contact Danusia or your responsible account manager within T-Vision. And yeah, thank you for listening to us today. And Danusia, I don't know if there are any other questions or you want to add something?
There is just another question that's come in saying, so the entire process can negate the need for manually inputting all invoices, purchase invoices, or doing it via get receipt lines? I mean, ultimately, we're saving time here, aren't we, for the finance team?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What was the question exactly?
So the entire process can negate the process of manually inputting.
Negate. Sorry. Yes. Apologies. Sorry, I didn't hear the word. Yes. It's you cannot. I know this is very black and white. You cannot get rid of the accounts payable team. That doesn't make sense. But it will. What we see with customers, let's say you're spending 8 hours per week on just typing in invoices. I think that will be reduced to 2 hours, if not less. And then those other 6 hours can be used for something else. I think you need to look at that in a way like this.
Yeah. So, Martin, thank you so much. We have overrun a little bit, but that's because there were so many questions. And to be honest with you, if people are asking questions, that shows they're interested and they want to know a little bit more.
Yeah, no problem. I'm fine.
I will follow up with people that have asked and see if they want any further information from us. Obviously, there's also the expense management piece as well that we haven't had time to discuss. So yeah, so perhaps that's a future webinar. So once again, thank you so much, Martin. Thank you everyone for joining. We will be sending the link out afterwards. And everybody else, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.